There's a new candidate in the race to take on Senator Ted Cruz in next year's election. On Monday, State Senator Roland Gutierrez entered the race. He'll face Dallas Congressman Colin Allred in the March Democratic primary. Gutierrez is a Democrat from San Antonio. His district includes Uvalde, and his campaign video talked about the sorrow, frustration, and hope for change in that community.
Where I'm going, I've seen horrors you couldn't imagine. And that's at the end of this drive, in a community that's been through unthinkable pain, where I find my strength.
Gutierrez pushed for police accountability and tougher gun laws this session. His legislation failed to advance at the Capitol. Capitol correspondent Monica Madden spoke one-on-one with Gutierrez about why he's joining the race for U.S. Senate and his message to voters.
Your launch video talked a lot about frustration namely that you felt based on the state's response to the Uvalde massacre, frustration with the overall leadership and direction of the state. Why do you think that is a message that will resonate with voters?
Well, Uvalde changed my life. I mean, it really did. It changed my worldview and it changed my view of life in general. There's no greater policy issue. If you don't have your child, inflation doesn't matter, the cost of gas doesn't matter. If you don't have your little baby because they were taken in such a horrible way, the rest just doesn't make a difference. And when I saw the failure and I uncovered and kept investigating and had to play investigator, it was really a problem. As I saw that ambulatory services weren't there, law enforcement didn't act for 77 minutes, no communications to speak of. This governor's office had been asked for 5 years for resources to buy better radios in this community. That didn't happen. But the failure is bigger than that. 800 people died in a winter storm. We need a senator that's going to say, look, we're going to tie on to the eastern or western grid so that never happens again. They have worse storms in North Dakota and upstate New York, and they handle it. 800 people don't die. That has happened because of people like Ted Cruz and others that would rather have us focusing on some fuzzy object over here, blaming some people on the margins, immigrants, LGBTQ, you name it, than to have us look at the real problems that we're facing in Texas. And the real problems are right in front of us. And we can do them, we can solve them. We have the resources to do great big things. We need to have serious people in Washington that are willing to talk about those things.
During this session, you were by far the most outspoken legislator when it comes to gun restrictions. We've seen at times that has hurt Texas Democrats in a general election. Do you think this time will be different?
Well, listen, I own guns. I'm a believer in the Second Amendment. I don't own any AR-15s. I don't need one. At the end of the day, all I was asking for were common sense gun solutions like raising the age limit. The way that young man walked into a gun shop on 3 different days, it just reeked of red flags, right? You should have had an extreme risk protective order that someone would have said, this looks strange. Let's go do something. Let's skate these guns for a little bit. Find out what this young man is up to. We do not have extreme risk protective orders. We don't have an age limit. And we need to close the gun show loophole. Today, anybody could go into a gun show and buy any kind of weapon without even so much as showing a driver's license. That is simply crazy. 66% of Republicans are in favor of the legislation that I'm talking about. I think that I need to work on truly understanding what people are facing, because God forbid this happen again. As I told the Lieutenant Governor one day, someday this is going to happen to someone you know. It's going to happen to someone that Ted Cruz knows. So each and every one of these people is going to have to confront this issue that is facing everyday Americans. And we have to do something. We have to do at least the minimum to safeguard our children. First, you'll have to face off another Democrat running in this election. That's Congressman Colin Allred of Dallas. How would you differentiate yourself between your opponent to primary voters before they choose who they want to be the Democratic nominee? Yeah, listen, I'm sure he's a very nice person, but he's, no disrespect to him, but he's not my opponent. My opponent is Ted Cruz. We're going to win the primary and we're going to win the general. We're going to win it because people are going to understand how hard we've worked, how hard I'm willing to work, and my whole life is based on that value. I'll outwork Colin Allred and I'll outwork Ted Cruz, and we'll have a discussion on what is really matters to people. And it's those kitchen table politics. It's how much money you can save if you had a real Medicaid expansion proposition, if you had universal health care even. Those are proposals that we need to be talking about and ensuring for Americans. We need to talk about what matters to them. I'm going to do what I need to do. Money doesn't daunt me. I'm sure people will believe in our candidacy and support us. We're going to move forward, like I always have in my life, and just remain positive and hopeful. And I think that people will follow along.
All right, Senator, thanks for sitting down with us. Best of luck.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We reached out to Colin Allred's campaign to get their response to Gutierrez joining the race. His campaign manager sent a statement saying, "Our campaign is laser focused on beating Ted Cruz, and we are happy to welcome anyone who shares that mission into this race." Senator Ted Cruz took a shot at both Democrats in his response to Gutierrez joining the race. A statement from his campaign said, "Texans will now get to watch Colin Allred and Roland Gutierrez slug it out for who could be the most radical leftist in the state." The campaign added that Cruz is working to deliver real results for Texans. We showed you just part of Monica's interview with State Senator Gutierrez. You can see the full interview online now, including how the upcoming Senate trial for suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton could affect his campaign. Just look for the link in the State of Texas story in the Texas Politics section of our website. A campaign claim raises questions about who's crossing the border.
I think they've identified about 10,000 Chinese nationals coming across the southern border.
But are those numbers correct? Up next, we'll put the claim in context.